He had great leverage, great timing, and I think you knew where to hit someone.
Yes.
To take them out.
You have to learn the particular spots to strike a person. You have to hit them where it will actually hurt them. Hit them under the heart, hit them on the tip of the chin, which will rattle nerves. Hit them in the solar plexus, in the stomach.
Which paralyzes the breathing practically.
That's right. It cuts off.
Just to ask you this question, Archie. When Ali went to the rope-a-dope and stayed there for 3 rounds, did your corner feel exultant? Did they say, oh boy, we got him right where we want him, we're going to just hammer him down to death?
No, I did not, because I knew that what Ali had shown from the beginning, that he was an escape artist of the highest nature. And he continued to escape and evade and hold Foreman harmless by bearing down on the back of his neck and making Foreman use his strength against himself. And this is what I call good thinking.
But the punches of Foreman were like a crab, like they were come from so far out. He got to be wearing himself out. And in the meantime, Ali was taking that short little causeway there and popping them real hard, straight rights. Wasn't that hurting George Foreman?
Of course, it demeaned him from all of his strengths by missing, you see. When you miss, you lose more strength than you do when you hit a guy.
Now he's pulling what he did against Joe Frazier, shaking his head. No, no, he says. The left hand gets through again. There's the bell, ending round 2.
Well, I think round 2 saw the birth of the rope-a-dope. But I think all I can remember was you and I and everybody screaming as loud as we could, get off the ropes, get off the ropes. We didn't know that Ali was not getting hit that hard and that he was causing some damage. Remember what you were thinking about when he backed up there?
What steamed me up the worst was in our corner. I tried to slap him off the ropes, because I was scared to death he was going to fall out there. I thought our guy going to wind up being the dope, just laying.
I was wondering what you were talking about that.
Well, he was walking. He had that look on himself. What am I doing here? He was like walking in a daze. My guy helped the daze, naturally, snapping head back with that jab.
Foreman, on the other hand, just seemed to be pawing away.
No balance.
Nothing.
He was walking. His legs were together. And the strength of my fighter was predominant, the way he pushed him and shoved him and handled him.
Ken Norton in blue, all over Muhammad Ali. Norton applying the pressure, sharp, crisp punches. Ali in desperate trouble here in the 12th and final round.
Ali had suffered a major setback by losing a 12-round decision to Ken Norton. Muhammad's jaw may have been broken as early as the first round. After the fight, a doctor who examined the quarter-of-an-inch separation said the pain must have been unbelievable. Muhammad Ali's boxing career was put in serious jeopardy.
Grand Avenue here in Louisville, Kentucky. This was where Cassius Marcellus Clay grew up. And it was after a loss like that he suffered in San Diego to Ken Norton that he still found support from family and friends. Friends who remember him training and doing road work by racing horses down the road at Churchill Downs. But Angelo Dundee, I have to ask you about that Ken Norton loss, the broken jaw, and it happened really early on, and still the man went the distance, and it's virtually unheard of.
Well, I'll tell you, I tried. The first round he broke his jaw. I noticed a different type of blood coming out of his mouth. You can tell it's a deep red type. And in the second round, I told the kid, I said, hey, I may have to stop this fight. I think your jaw's busted. Naturally, he said, no, you ain't. He said, I can lick this sucker. I won't let him hit me. And he went on.
Every time a fighter who was supposed to win a fight does not win a fight, it harkens back to his training. And I guess that was really the case in this time around, too.
Well, not really. I think Muhammad got to San Diego in pretty fair shape. And then they were hustling him around, bringing him to see this guy, you know. There was a promoter there that ran him all over the place, like he was running for mayor or running for an office, and didn't actually get the best shape. But there was no excuse with that. No cop-out, no nothing. That was a close fight. I don't know who won it actually, but it was a great lesson, him getting his jaw busted, because it told him to keep his mouth shut when he was working fighting in the ring, actually.
At that point, I guess, that was really a time that Muhammad Ali could not afford 2 losses in a row. So the next fight with Norton, which was his next fight some 6 months later, he had to have.
Well, actually, he was always better when he had something to prove. So he wanted to prove he was a better man than Ken Norton, that getting his jaw busted really detracted from his performance. He got in great shape. It was a great fight in L.A., and he rectified what had happened in the first fight.
So from Grand Avenue here in Louisville to Los Angeles, and a must-fight, Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton fighting. And Angie, I guess it's safe to say that really might have been the champion's high point.
Well, I'd have to say yes, because it was such a great night, a great fight. The fight going back and forth, Joe almost had my guy in the 11th round. The guy had to come suck it up and come back like he always done many, many times. Comes on and he wins it. It was a sensational fight. One of my most enjoyable moments with Muhammad.
Muhammad, of course, was one of the great people at selling tickets to a fight, and he had to go out and sell that one just like the others. A little bit of animosity between he and Frazier, but when it was all over, he said Frazier was a great champion.
No, Muhammad was a respecter of people. He respected Joe Frazier. He was selling something. If there was animosity, it was one-sided, and Joe Frazier will tell you that today also.
We talk about the high points. I guess you got to look at the low points, too, and certainly the low point, perhaps, was the fight with Leon Spinks, the first fight.
Very low. Felt like a midget that night. Nothing went right. Everything went wrong. Muhammad just couldn't get up for Spinks, and that was the whole key. Muhammad has to have something to shoot at. He had nothing to shoot at. A guy with 7 fights, how's he going to beat Muhammad Ali?
Well, it was going to be a walk in the park. As you mentioned, the guy was an Olympic champion, but he never fought the likes of Muhammad Ali. Ali only sparred 2 rounds every 9 days. He started training at 242 pounds and finally came in at 224 pounds. But that takes a beating on a 36-year-old body. The results were inevitable.
Sonny Liston was hitting guys with jabs and knocking his teeth out. He was the biggest, the toughest, the meanest fighter out there, and he was fighting this little kid who had a gift of gab, who bounced around pretty good. You know, and people didn't give him a shot.
How old were you when you had your first boxing match?
Well, when I first started, I was 13. I went to the gym and I got a shellacking, so I said, that's not for me. And so, and then again, I waited until I got 18, and I was big, and I weighed 218. So I figured, I said, well, I'm a man now, I can take it on my own.
Grazing right. I was so punched at all times. And they were just wondering how could I get through with this all the time. From the first minute to the third one, I could fight every minute of the round because I put my body in shape to do it.
I trained very hard. I was in very good condition for Jack. The lightweight title, I love the title. I guess next to my kids, I love the title more than anything else.
Battling to keep his precious title, Ike was wary of Bojack's powerful weapon.
The bowler punch was his favorite punch. I mean, he wanted to get to you with left jabs and to throw the bowler punch. I mean, and the other punches were the left hooks and the right cross. The bowler punch was his main punch. I mean, and actually, through the bowler punch, he looked too much. He made too much of a show out of it. He wanted people to see it. I mean, Paul was very spectacular. He was this way.
He'd come in and move and like this, throw the left jab, another left jab, combinate a right hand, another left jab, right hand, nothing, and I done the same.
While trading continuous blows, a grazing uppercut broke Ike's tooth, calling for drastic action.
And I was desperate. I mean, I had a perfect set of teeth, and outside of that one, I still have all my teeth outside of the one that he knocked out. You know? But I did what anyone was doing. I tried to finish Bojack. I tried to knock him out.
Champion Williams threw everything into the attack, unloading a furious flurry of hands and fists on his stalwart opponent.
They were like this. Like this. They were straight. So, you know, you can't get by. It took me too much time to do this and do this when these straight punches was coming all the time. When you get hit with a straight punch and everything is on it, you are a hurt man or knocked out.
I thought the referee should have stopped the fight. I turned around and I said, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? You know, like, what you want me to do, to kill the man?
I'm a fighter. I'm not going to say no to any fighter. If you want to fight me, you fight me. I'm not going to back up. I'm not going to run. You have to kill me right where you got me. I'm in there to fight. And I don't judge no fight on any fighter. I pick a man, I stick with him. And Ike Williams is a great champion.
Louis in the ring, contrary to what most people thought, was a very heady boxer. He was a good thinker in there, especially for the heavyweights who weren't known for their thinking ability. He was formidable because he made very few mistakes, and if you made a mistake against him, you got hit with one of those terrific counter shots.
Khan was a light heavyweight champion, gave up his title before the Louis fight, and he still was a light heavyweight when he fought Joe Louis. Joe Louis weighed about 200 pounds. Khan only weighed about 168 pounds.
The idea about fighting is don't let the guy hit you. If they can't hit you, they can't hurt you. You have to keep your hands up and punch real straight, no roundhousers, because if you go straight to it, you're going to get there first.
I think it was a kind of a crowd that, while they respected the great Joe Louis, they were rooting for the underdog, the young kid from Pittsburgh. Khan was using his speed, he was in and out. One good thing in Khan's favor was that Louis had never fought anybody with the speed of Khan.
He kept moving to the left, and he kept moving to the right, and kept that sharp left hand continually keeping Louis off balance and breaking up Louis's attack.
The main thing is don't let him hit you. Keep your hands up and move from side to side and mix him up. If you keep backing up, he's going to follow you. All you have to do is keep the left in his face and keep your hands up and keep your ass off the floor.
Now we come to the 12th round, and this, too, was a great round for Billy Conn. He was all over Louis, and Louis was having a time blocking the punches, and Conn was fearless. Billy Conn staggered Louis. If Conn had been able to win one of the next 3 rounds, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, he would have been the heavyweight champion of the world.
Blackburn was the voice in the corner for Louis. And when he came back to the corner after Conn's rally in the 12th round, Blackburn told him, "You better go out and get him, Chappie. We're going to lose the title."
Short right uppercut to the jaw, and Conn is in trouble, but he fights.
I went out to try to knock him out, and naturally your hands are down and this and that, and you get hit. I lost all sense of thinking about not getting hit. I was worrying about hitting him and not worrying about safety first for me, see.
Louis hooks the left hand to the jaw. Conn is being driven around the ring by Louis. He is badly hurt, but he won't go down. Conn is staggering. Louis hooks a left to the jaw, a right hand to the jaw, another left to the jaw by Louis, a crushing right to the jaw, and Conn slowly goes to the canvas. The referee, Eddie Joseph, comes over. The count is reached 4.
I was in a great fight with Joe Louis.
Eddie, would you come here? Right here. Okay, Eddie. Another heavyweight champion wins another fight for you. Quickly, you assess that kind of a short performance by your fighter. How does it help him against this kind of fighter to progress toward what you think he eventually will be?
Every fight, he learns something. He did things tonight in this fight that he had never done in any fight before.
What?
He used the short uppercut, left hook, and right cross that brought this man down. He has used the uppercut in a counter fashion in previous fights, but this time he led off with it, and he followed with a good hook that we've been trying to get him to use. I consider it a definite advancement. He's learning more technique as he goes along.
All right, your trainer is giving you an 8.
It's going to be the key factor in the fight, the left hand, because we feel that if once we can get Marvin to watch the left jab, get his mind on the left hand, then there will be no problem with getting other shots off.
Hearns' best defense is his offense, because that's the only way that he knows how to fight. In my way, I have to make my defense my best offense. So, and though that I have both ways, because once I get him in trouble, I can change it around. Thomas don't have that ability.
I'm here to show the world that I have the ability, the punching power to get in there and knock out middleweights, heavyweights, and lightweights. And I think that if we can get Marvin to watch the left jab, get his mind on the left hand, then there will be no problem with getting other shots off. Hearns' best defense is his offense, because that's the only way that he knows how to fight. In my way, I have to make my defense my best offense. So, and though that I have both ways, because once I get him in trouble, I can change it around. Thomas don't have that ability. I'm here to show the world that I have the ability, the punching power to get in there and knock out middleweights, light heavyweights, whatever, welterweight all the way up to the light heavyweight division. I have that power.
I have my mind focused on one thing, and that's to destroy him. That is to knock him out. If I have the opportunity, if it's there, I'm going to take it.
I think that this fight here will put me in the position to make greatness and put me one step closer to greatness, and which is to win the 4 titles.
That's what I feel. War. That's what's on my mind.
I don't see the fight going 12 rounds.
I've been feeding the faith, and I've been starving the doubt. So there's no doubt in my mind that I can't win this fight, or that I won't knock Thomas Hearns out.
Happened to him particularly.
The real problem with a lot of fighters, especially heavy punchers, when they're like boxing with people, and like they have a certain thing, boxers have a tendency or have an open hand all the time to try to flick off, to block punches from like things like that. And when they see an opportunity to shoot their hand, they really just shoot it out there and never close your hand, make a full fist and make it tight. And that gives your wrist opportunity to bend. And when your hand bends, it takes the impact, and it's not strong enough to really hold up to that.
Well, Gil Clancy, this is something you know a lot about, the physics of boxing.
Tim, the purpose of the hand bandage is to protect the metacarpal bones, but you also have to throw your punches straight. It has to be a straight line from knuckle right up to the shoulder. As Tommy said, if you bend your wrist, you can break your hand.
And it's happened to him. And he feels like he's learned from that experience. And it's hard to keep a clenched fist all the time, so your timing has to be important. You've got to be relaxed in there, but you've got to have it ready to throw. Round number 2.
People who think they're better than me, that motivates me. Roy Jones thinks he's better than me, I'm motivated, and I tell him to get busy.
Tony's style is punctuated by finishing power, but at work he is a skilled craftsman, deceptively hard to hit, even while out-punching opponents. Roy Jones, conversely, begins with speed, quick hands, quick feet, a dazzling style that ignites a fierce power of his own.
The man's got speed. See, speed is power. So power, you're boxing a guy that's got a lot of speed. You got to take his legs away from him. How do you take his legs away? You go to his body. So you kill the body, they're here to die.
But everybody assumes that Roy is going to run, but that's not going to be the fight. It's going to be a very tactical, very good fight. It's going to be tactical, and if Tony makes a mistake, he's going to pay.
His trainer, Teddy Atlas, grew increasingly agitated.
All right, I want you to move to your right, where you're moving away from his right hand, because that's what he's looking to sneak punch you with. Every once in a while you stop. Move to your right, away from his right hand. All right? Do you hear me?
I think he had tasted some of his punches earlier, and Michael took them real well. And he started to take things for granted a little bit.
Teddy Atlas, between rounds, told Moore to move to his right, but he had better get Moore's attention because he's moving exactly the opposite way.
And he set Michael up by letting him come into his distance and throwing a soft jab to make Michael feel comfortable that he could stay in that range. It wasn't dangerous, where he shouldn't have been at that range.
I have a sense here, Gil, that Moore feels as though he has felt Foreman's power and it's not going to hurt him. That could be a big mistake.
As the champion appeared to move closer and closer to a unanimous decision victory, the far wiser and more experienced challenger was indeed setting him up for the kill.
There's no reason for you to stand there and let him find you. Either step out or move to the side, all right?
I felt comfortable in doing what I was doing. It had nothing to do with Teddy and what he was telling me to do. There was a couple times in the fight where I tried to move to my right, but I felt more comfortable going to my left. It didn't matter if I was going into his right hand.
When he's touching you with that jab, either snap the jab back at him or move to the side. Don't stay there because he's looking to set you up one shot.
I don't think we left the ring one day in camp without having gone over and making notice that we don't want to get hit with that sneaky right hand behind the jab.
Down goes Moore on a right hand. An unbelievably close-in right hand shot. It happened. It happened.
Continually ignoring his trainer's advice and falling into Foreman's trap, Michael Moorer found himself flat on his back. Moorer, to this day, refuses to believe he was tricked into anything.
I was beating George every round, understand that. He caught me with a punch that I didn't see, and those are the punches that hurt you. I got caught with a punch I didn't see.
3. The 21-year-old used fast footwork and pinpoint accuracy to defeat the highly respected Genaro Hernandez in only his 18th pro fight.
I use body in my shots. And that's why Genaro Hernandez quit. I mean, people say, why did Hernandez quit? It don't look like Mayweather punch hard. If you're not in there, you wouldn't know.
So in 1998, Mayweather has become world champion, and Manfredi...
Ready?
No.
Okay.
You pushed me.
I could not disagree with you more. Let's go back up to James Brown.
All right, Jim and George, and certainly from this layperson's perspective, style-wise, I thought Evander Holyfield immensely better. He did, in fact, press to fight Roy Jones, as he said he would. Much more competitive fight this time, but give me your thoughts.
Well, this fight was different. This fight was something that was hard to call. That was a very difficult fight to call. Had a draw come out of this, I wouldn't have been mad about it because that was a tough fight to call. My hat goes off to Evander Holyfield. He made a lot of improvement. He made a lot of changes. He came out, gave up 25 pounds, and showed that he could make up for his mistake in the first fight. Lennox Lewis, on the other hand, made the same mistake in this fight that Evander made in the first fight.
Which was?
He tried to knock Evander out. And to me, he wasn't that impressive, and I thought the fight could have gone either way.
With that in mind, that Lewis wasn't that impressive because he was going for the knockout. Strategically, tactically, what will Lewis have to improve on in order to reign as the undisputed champion for a while?
At 34 years old, he's not going to improve on much. He's a power puncher. He has to learn how to establish his range. Had he been able to establish his range, which means keep Holyfield out at a distance to where he could do damage with his best punches, then he would have been a lot better off tonight. He did do a good bit of damage with his uppercut, but it was just very far and few in between. So I like Lennox as a person. I like him as a boxer. I like to see him box. I'm very big fan of boxing. I'm glad that we do have a heavyweight champion, an undisputed heavyweight champion. I think this was an improvement from last fight because we did make an effort to make sure that somebody got a fair shake. And that's a fair shake to me because the fight could have went either way in anybody's mind, but it was a good fight, and we got the best judges here to do the best thing. So I think tonight was a very successful night for the heavyweight division.
That was going to be my final question. You are okay with the decision tonight?
Very much so. I'm okay with it.
All right. There are now 2 undisputed champions in boxing, Roy Jones Jr. and Lennox Lewis. All right, folks.
Lewis has spent. What is his mental frame of mind?
Lennox's mental state of mind is very good. He was driving over here in a limo. He said, it's time to fight now. All of the talking is over with, so he's in a good mood. He doesn't even want to talk to anyone right now. He's very upbeat. He feels very lucky to get this fight because it's the fight that he always wanted.
It's been suggested by Evander Holyfield and some of other opponents of Lennox that he cannot win this fight backing up. Will that be your instruction to him?
I think the whole world is giving Lennox Lewis instructions on backing up and not backing up. So he has to be forceful with Mike Tyson. You have to fight Mike Tyson, and you have to challenge him. You can use a jab, but you cannot just use entirely a backing up jab. Maybe sometimes once in a while, but for the most part, you've got to fight Mike, and you have to challenge him.
Are you concerned that he might be a little too cautious and therefore not aggressive?
No, I'm not concerned. Lennox has a solid plan that's been laid out, and I'm quite sure he's going to follow the plan. He's a veteran fighter.
Is there anything that Mike Tyson can do in the ring that would distract, and is Lennox concerned about Mike's behavior?
Lennox is not concerned about Mike's illegal tactics that may occur or something erratic, because he starts concentrating on that, you can get off track. And in Mike Tyson, you're still dealing with what I've always considered the best punching heavyweight of all time when it comes down to punching power. Mike Tyson has got to be rated #1. And, you know, that's dangerous enough, let alone worried about illegal tactics. We're going to depend on the referee to handle that.
And you have called Eddie Cotton, the referee.
The original Great White Hope was lured out of a 6-year retirement to fight heavyweight champion Jack Johnson.
They actually made Jeffries the betting favorite. Now, if the same thing had happened today, I mean, Jeffries would be an overwhelming underdog. But people didn't understand. No one had ever retired from the heavyweight championship and come all the way back after many years of being idle and tried to win the title back. Jeffries tried it and failed terribly.
Jeffries, who had never lost a fight, was pummeled mercilessly by Johnson through 15 rounds before the fight was finally stopped. Bankrupt from poor investments, Benny Leonard, the once great lightweight champion, came back after 7 years. and then he faced Jimmy McLarnin.
Well, I was younger and I think I had more speed than Benny Leonard because that's what he lost, the speed. But he still had that punching power. And he hit me one belt in the first round and pretty much knocked my teeth out. But I think he got tired.
Leonard was badly beaten until the fight was stopped in the 6th round. Aside from a disqualification, it was his only defeat in a career that began 20 years before. A year after his second loss to Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston began a comeback. But en route to a hoped-for title shot, he took on a ranked fighter, Leotis Martin.
You knew when he came back, even though he had 11 knockouts in a row, he wasn't fighting anybody. They were all mediocre fighters, mediocre heavyweights that are hanging around for a payday, and they thought he could come back, but he never did come back to his old form.
Liston looked good for a few rounds, but the younger man came on, and in the 9th round, he knocked Liston out. So the precedents aren't...
Like my first 4 or 5 fights were just straight decisions, and the people were whining and crying, hey, you're not doing this, you can't do this, what's wrong? And making that transition, I took my punishment in the gym, working with the jab and constant yelling of Joe, you use the jab, put your hands up, you use the jab, put your hands up, do this, do that, do this. And it, started turning around. Once I started getting my positioning right and my jab started to work, things started to fall into place.
Other individuals may have been rattled by the hounding of the critics and the constant pressure for Breland to deliver the big knockout. But Mark, along with manager Shelley Finkel, never lost faith.